Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Jerry and the Raw. Well, we're not doing episodes anymore. The date is 8/16/2019, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick update. I finally got some good news. You guys know I've been having these health problems off and on. The latest problem has been these panic attacks that almost present like seizures. The bad news is we still don't know what's causing them. However, we've ruled a ton of stuff out. So I went and got a physical last week, and it was a full physical, the full meal deal. They even ran additional testing to test for anemia, iron, a couple other tests to see if my body is properly distributing the different vitamins and all that stuff. Anyways, I went through their gamut, and it took them like a week to get back to me. So I've been freaking out this whole last week. If you guys have been wondering why I've been kind of distant, it's because I was like, did they find something? Is it taking forever to get the testing done because, they found cancer or something like that? And today I couldn't be more happy than when I got my results back, and it was a couple of pages. I mean, they ran like a shitload of tests. I'd go through each one of them for you guys, but I don't even understand what half of them mean. But the good news is every single one of my numbers is flawless except for one, and that's my HCl cholesterol. My HCl cholesterol is low, just a little bit low. My doctor said just with some exercise that would come right back up. But he said my cholesterol, my iron, my blood sugar levels. They did some other testing for different things like even uric acid. Even though I was diagnosed with gout and I had uric acid problems for a long time, now uric acid isn't as high. So that's gone down. So basically he said that from the blood work, and from the urine test and everything, I'm healthy as an ox. So unfortunately that still doesn't explain why I'm having so much inflammation and joint pain. Because we thought that it might present as like an autoimmune thing, but nothing in the diagnostics shows anything even remotely close to autoimmune or any kind of elevated white cell count or anything. So we're really not sure what the hell's going on. So the next step is I'm going to go see my doctor again. We're going to see about getting me in to see an actual psychiatrist, not just a therapist, but also on top of that a psychiatrist, somebody who might be able to further prescribe stuff that he can't, to maybe see if this is some kind of a mental thing, that somehow like a stress disorder or something like that is causing me to present with physical symptoms and temporary, like my blood pressure spikes through the roof. I've taken my blood pressure, but it's only when I'm under massive amounts of stress and anxiety. When I'm at rest and everything's fine, which seems rare and rare these days, the numbers are all perfect. So at any rate, my doctor was really pleased with the results, although he felt bad that we didn't find anything wrong, because he thought for sure that we'd find something in there that would explain a lot of what's going on, like the inflammation with my hands making it really hard to get my ring on and off, my inability to make a fist comfortably when I wake up in the morning. Like still this one's really difficult. It's, and then the arm that had the blood clot in it, is having some little bits of coloration issues and stuff like that. I have to actually go see, I don't know if you guys can see that, but you see the bruising? There's some bruising coming back in this arm because I'm no longer taking the blood thinners, which those blood thinners were causing me massive problems. Coming off of that was probably the most improvement that I saw for months and months and months. So, as we stand right now, I feel better mentally already. Like I feel better. Just your mind over matter, that is a real thing, because just reading those results and looking at them after having a whole week of panicking about them, and it's basically like, listen, all your organs. They even did an EKG. Like they normally don't even do that during my thing. They put all the little pads on me or whatever, and checked my heart to see if there was any irregular activity, murmurs, or anything like that. They put pads everywhere, on my feet, on my chest, everywhere, and all that came back good. So, however, the doctor knows that the symptoms are there because he took the measurements and he can tell that I'm actually retaining water and I'm inflamed, yet my kidney and liver function's flawless. So something that's happening, it could be skeletal, it could be neurological, but it's not presenting in the blood work, whatever it is, which makes it more complicated to figure out what it is and fix. Because if it was a deficiency, I'd just take vitamins or something like that. They'd give me like a really heavy iron vitamin or something. It would have fixed it immediately. But because they don't know what it is, we got to keep digging, which is going to get a lot more expensive and a lot more complicated. And of course, that's stressful. But the good news is, if I had cancer, I had some kind of abnormal growth or abnormal heart function, or if I was actually having heart attacks or seizures, it would have presented with something in the blood work, and it didn't. So that's great. I mean, that's great news. That means that what I'm experiencing when I'm having a massive anxiety attack and ultimately passing out some of the time, it's because I'm just getting my heart rate up so high that I'm probably just dropping out my oxygen level and I'm fainting. Basically, it's anybody would do it under the same situation. The question is, why am I getting so worked up over things? Like, why is it able to get me worked up, and why can't I get it under control? And that's why I think the psychiatrist is probably a good next step. In addition to my therapist, I'm still going to see my therapist, but the psychiatrist and the therapist do completely different things. I didn't know this until I talked to the doctor. Apparently, the psychiatrist is more focused on the medical side of like focusing on like your neurotransmitters and stuff and how your brain works and stuff that technically doesn't show up in blood work all the time unless you're specifically looking for it. But they specialize in that stuff. But they're thinking that whatever is going on with me is probably more on the neurological side. The pain, of course, is the same as before. It's because my spine is majorly fucked. We all know that. The doctor has my x-rays. I have a 46-degree deflection on L4. A bunch of my vertebrae is calcified, and I got a big bone spur that pokes me in my sciatic nerve that causes like my hands and my legs and shit to just go numb and hurt really bad all the time. But that's something that I've had forever, and it has progressively gotten worse as I've gotten older, which was anticipated. However, that's not the stuff I'm worried about. The pain stuff I'm not so much worried about, because once I get up and I get moving around and everything like that, I can feel normal. Like, there are steps that I can take every day. It's a pain in the ass, but I can feel normal. But now, or I should say, I used to be able to just go through the steps and feel normal. Now I feel like I have a hard time even getting up and getting moving. And I think that that is more of a psychological component at this point. And you know what they say, your mind can fucking steer your body, right? Mental and physical go hand in hand. So I'm going to keep searching. I'm going to keep working with people. But this was helpful today. It was helpful to actually get some information back that basically says, listen, you don't have some weird degenerative disease, your organs all look fine, everything's good. I mean, my doctor even went so far as in the comment to say that he's shocked that my physical looks better than my physical I got 6 months ago, and that physical looked better than the physical I got 2 years ago. So I'm like Benjamin Button from a blood perspective. From my blood and urine, I'm absolutely healthy as an ox. But there's other shit going on, and we got to figure out what it is. And he said that it's also possible that if I get an MRI, they may find something in my head that's creating cranial pressure or something that's creating a pressure point. That stuff like that would not necessarily present in blood work unless the blood was taken at the exact point that it was happening or they were monitoring you through it. And I do have proof. When I've had the episodes, I immediately put on a blood pressure cuff, and my blood pressure does spike during the episode. It'll jump up to 160 something over 105, 110. But then it comes right back down afterwards. I also have put a pulse oximeter on me. I keep all this medical equipment shit laying around so I keep track of it when it's happening. And usually when I'm having a really, really severe anxiety attack, my oxygen level drops down into the high 80s, low 90s. But again, just for the duration of whatever's going on, and then it seems to just go away, and I'm back to normal for the most part, with some side effects of tingly fingers and shit like that. So, but we know that it's not strokes, we know that it's not heart attacks, which were real fears, which means I get to keep my driver's license. Woo! Because if it had been seizures, or not strokes, sorry, they weren't worried about stroke realistically because everything's still working, but if it had been seizures, they would have taken my license away, and I wouldn't have been able to drive. And driving is like one of my favorite things to do on earth. And you take that away from me, I mean, what am I at that point? It'd be sad. It'd be sad. So anyways, good news. I just wanted to share that with you guys. To my patrons, that this was at least a step in the right direction. We still don't know what the fuck's wrong with me, but we at least know that the really, really, really bad stuff that would present in blood work, is actually is not presenting at all. And not only that, but my blood work looks awesome. He even told me, he said my blood sugar levels are flawless. My my cholesterol, other than my HCl, is flawless. The enzymes or whatever that they did, the test for the enzymes from the liver and everything, all that stuff's exactly where it's supposed to be. And like right dead spot in the middle for my age, and actually a little bit better than my age. He said, it's funny because like how is that possible? I am 336 pounds. I've lost a shitload of weight, gained it back, lost a shitload, gained it back. I'm under a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. I've been laid up in bed for months at a time because of the blood clot and shit. How in the hell is my blood work so good? It's like I'm almost starting to question, like, did they actually run the lab tests, or do they just like say, man, just like take the good sheet and just send it to everybody and save time? I don't know at this point. I'm going to go pull my old results and look at them. The doctor didn't send me my old results. He just said that it was better than my old results. So, anyways, that's some good news for now. Things I'm struggling with right now is still dealing with really bad nightmares, waking up in a lot of pain. Those are the two things I really got to address because I'm not sleeping well at all. I found that I'm adding naps in during the day, and that's been helping tremendously, especially with the anxiety attacks. Just taking a nap midday, I mean, call it getting old. But I have to figure out how to get some better sleep. That's the trick. I think that's going to be the key that opens the lock to my health again, is figuring out how to sleep well again. And I think that's probably something that's truly more important than anything else. The other thing is getting enough energy to start getting organized again. Everything around me is fucked up. My computer, the Windows install is so fucked up from me messing with stuff and everything, like without documenting what I was doing to get back. So I want to do a clean install with 1903. The graphics card review is horribly overdue because I went through and did a bunch of testing, and I keep getting different results because the way the operating system is behaving and the way that the software and the settings are behaving, and it's like one of those things where it's like I'm not confident in the data, so I'm not releasing the video. I've shot a couple of other videos. Unfortunately, they didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to. So I'm still struggling with that aspect of things, but I'm working on getting organized. My wife and I have been working every day to clean the house. I've been steam cleaning carpets and doing what I can every day to try to organize our space and make it a little cleaner. Unfortunately, my room up here is still it's still pretty trashed up here. But that's on the list of things I've been working on. I've been sorting cables and stuff like that, but the goal is to get through it, guys, and start reclaiming my life back, because it feels like who I was an eternity ago. It's like a shadow, and I don't like that. I want to get that back. I used to be super inquisitive. I used to study up on everything all the time, read books, read online documentation, take courses online on programming, stay really sharp on everything, and I feel like I've let my programming skills get really rusty. I've even let my general Windows skills get really rusty. I get people schooling me on Windows 10 all the time now, and I'm like, that is the most ego-punching thing that I can experience, seeing how long I worked for that company and how many years I put into actually knowing everything about everything. But of course, when they laid me off, a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes that I stopped keeping track of. So I'm playing catch-up on every front. And in addition to that, I'm also dealing with the health and the psychological things to go along with it. But the truth is, my problems aren't no better than anybody else. And as I stand here before you right now, according to this blood work, I am not dying. I am healthy as an ox in that respect. Skeletally, weight-wise and everything, the weight is not impeding my health, my physical health. Which is nice to know, because I was pretty sure this time, after all the fucking going up and down so fast, I thought it was going to be really bad. I still need to lose weight. Absolutely need to lose weight, but I'm mentally in a little bit better place after looking at that, because I was so freaking convinced that something bad was going to come back, just based on my experiences over the last couple of weeks. You can even ask Miss Barnacle. It's like I was becoming very defeatist because I was just scared shitless. And so seeing that was a big step forward for me, and I'm just going to build on that and see where it takes me. But as soon as I know definitive, well, I do know definitively, I'm not dying as far as, I mean, it would have shown up in the blood work, right? So I think I'm okay to like progress. I think I've been kind of afraid to set up the things and do all the things and invest massive time into recording and doing all these things, thinking that I'm just going to collapse again and be stuck in bed for months. And it's like this mental block that I think this is going to help to clear a little bit. There's a couple other things that need to happen, including talking to my therapist again. I haven't talked to her in a while. A couple little things have to happen to come in alignment, but I just want to let you guys know, you're my patrons. You guys are the people that have got me through these toughest times, and I just wanted to give you guys the good news, because with all the bad news I've given you in the past, this is good news. The physical is good. All the extra tests they did is good. The blood work is good. So from that perspective, I'm happy. I'm still tired. I still can't understand why I'm not sleeping well, why I'm not functioning cognitively very well during the day. Sometimes I get so tired I start slurring my speech almost as if I'm drunk. My wife's been noticing that. We got to figure out what's causing that. And I've already ruled out a bunch of the medications because I just stopped taking them for a period of time and didn't see improvement. So I was hoping it might have just been one of the medications that I've been on, or one of the new medications that they put me on might have been causing some weird shit. I don't know. Some of this could still be from the blood thinners that I used to be taking, but even the doctor said, I mean, even that would have shown up in my blood work. As far as my blood work's concerned, My blood viscosity is like perfect and everything seems okay. They're not seeing dead cells and shit in there that would happen like if you had a heart attack. They're not seeing a bunch of clotting factors or anything like that. So I'm starting to think that a lot of it's right here, guys. I'm starting to think that I'm mentally making myself sick. And hopefully a psychiatrist can help with that, because I absolutely hate feeling this way. I want to get back to the way I used to feel. The way I used to feel was happy-go-lucky, 1,000 miles an hour, Jerry. I just want to do. As a matter of fact, that was my nickname growing up, was Do, because I'm always doing. And I'd like to reclaim that title. All right, guys, I'm going to keep it short today on the JITR. Thank you guys for all your support. I'm going to turn on the camera and see if I can't belt out a short and sweet review of these 2080 Supers that has been far too long. I'm not going to do a whole video with a bunch of benchmarking and a bunch of overlays and a bunch of B-rolls. I'm going to give you guys more of a JITR style talking point review. Because one, it's easier to edit, and two, I want to share my experience with you, not just a bunch of numbers and shit. Everybody else already has done that to death. So there's a lot of things that I want to say about it, in the pros and the cons, and specifically upgrading my own situation from 2 Titan XPs onto 2 2080 Supers, which is an upgrade path that nobody else would really follow, because the Titan XPs are just about as fast as the 2080s. For most operations, once you start including RTX and Tensor Core stuff and anything that involves the faster memory like the GDDR6, of course the 2080 just spanks the shit out of the Titans. But the Titan's got a couple good, tricks up its sleeve too. Like, for instance, it's got 12 gig of RAM instead of 8. It's got a whole third more memory. So you got to factor that into the equation too. And it technically does have more of the CUDA cores. It just doesn't have any of the Tensor cores, which are what allow DLSS and all that crazy, AI-based image processing and shit that we really haven't seen a lot of yet, because it has to be adopted into games and things like that. But anyways, that's going to be the direction that I go with the video. I'm going to keep it simple, stupid, because as soon as I'm done shooting and editing and releasing that video, I am wiping this box, reinstalling Windows 10 1903. I'm going to leave most of the privacy invasion shit intact, and I'm actually going to do a video explaining exactly why that is, doing my Windows setup, and then talking about why I'm enabling the privacy stuff, because I want to point a comparison against me basically molesting the shit out of the operating system and leaving it in some weird states where I'm having transient issues and stuff like that. And I want to see if those tend to go away, and if overall performance is boosted by me not manipulating the operating system, but then rather down the road using external mechanisms such as pfSense and Pi-hole and things of that nature to filter out telemetry and to maintain some level of anonymity or whatever, amnesty. I don't think that's the right word. Anonymity. Remain anonymous on the internet. But then I'm also going to be doing another video talking about how it is impossible to remain anonymous on the internet, because when you factor in relational data and how many services and things that you touch and things that are going on that you don't even know about in your web browser that are constantly going on, the forensic data, you're basically smearing your dirty little dick beaters all over the entire internet. And if somebody really, 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 really wanted to find you and had the social engineering skills or the authority, they could piece together any one piece of data where you screwed up and crossed over that anonymous boundary and your personal boundary. And that one link can complete the entire chain of everything that you've done over the last 10 years anonymously, could all be linked by that one little screw up. And this includes using like VPNs, using Tor, using things of that nature. And I wanted to do a video on that because a lot of people talk about how they don't really care about their privacy. They just kind of accept that they don't have privacy on the internet, and that's no big deal. Like, oh, they haven't done anything wrong. There's other reasons to want privacy than that you did something wrong. Everybody jumps to the conclusion the only reason you want to be anonymous is because you're a bad person. No, there's a lot of reasons, especially as a content producer, why you'd want to remain anonymous. Now, I foregoed all those things because I went a different direction with it, but I'm just saying I understand why people want to remain anonymous. But I think that as much as I've been making video content on how to protect yourself and how to stop telemetry and how to do all those things, the one thing that I haven't done is really tell the other side of the tale, which is all these things help to make you a little bit more anonymous. They help to prevent Microsoft from tracking and social engineering you just a little bit. But no matter what you enable, disable, what operating system you use, doesn't matter if it's Android, doesn't matter if it's Mac OS 10, doesn't matter if it's Windows 10, doesn't even matter if it's Windows 7, honestly. No matter what you're using, no matter what web browsers you're using, everything, there are little bits and pieces that are leaking, like Siri listening to me right now, Google Assistant listening to me, I've got Amazon listening to me over here. I have people that come into my house that log into my Wi-Fi, that then their devices in their pockets are hearing what I'm saying. And even though that data may not be like recorded and uploaded to the cloud, it may be processed into checksums and signatures and sent somewhere, and that signature could technically be used later on. as another piece of forensic evidence to piece things together. It's amazing the web of information that we hand over and we don't even realize it because we're all so accustomed to having all these devices and technology in our life that we don't realize it's not just the one thing that's the leak. It's like everything's leaking like a sieve. And even if you have the biggest firewall in the universe, you're not guaranteed to keep that information secure. There still will be leaks. And even leaks that you didn't do. Like, for instance, if you were using a VPN, for instance, and a friend of yours knew where your VPN endpoint was, and he connected to that VPN endpoint, but then he sent you information through that VPN endpoint that ultimately contained information that was of a personal nature that they could then use to track, such as a MAC address and an IP header or something like that, and then track that back to the original place without the VPN even having to log anything you did. There's a million different scenarios. I won't be able to cover them all in the video, but I'm hoping to let people understand that no matter how hard you try, you can make a dent in it. You can make yourself more anonymous. You can protect yourself more than you would be otherwise. But to think that you're 100% protected and 100% anonymous on the internet through any connection is ignorant. Like, if you think that you are 100% protected, later down the road you're gonna find out that's not the case. So it's not a video meant to scare anybody either. It's like, there is so much data gathered on everybody every day. The amount that human eyes is actually looking at is like billionths of a percent. The data that's actually gathering is mostly being mined and processed through AI and machine learning algorithms to more or less treat you as a product and to market things to you, to sell things to you, or to put things in front of you that they know that they'll get an engagement on, or to social engineer and steer you in a direction that helps out their company. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to money and profit. It's why we get Twitter for free. It's why we get Facebook for free. It's why we get Gmail for free. All of those things are designed. So it's not necessarily that because your data is leaking and your privacy is being invaded that you are somehow like this target and black helicopters are going to show up at your house because you downloaded an MP3 or a movie. No, the likelihood of that happening is astronomically low. It's just the fact that the data is out there and it is cumulative and storage is cheap. So a lot of the stuff doesn't get purged for a very, very long time. And you may find out that when you're 68 years old, some company starts up that decides that they want to go and AI data mine the entire web and build dossiers on everybody and just sell them to anybody who's the highest bidder. And if that happens, I guarantee you shit that you said in your 20s is going to pop up. Things, your dick pics that you posted when you were 18 years old, it's all going to be out there. And by that time, the internet culture is going to be so numb to that it's not even going to matter in the end. I just want to make the video because I think it'd be fun, and I don't think a lot of people realize just how much data is out there. All right, I'm going to get this uploading for you guys so that I can go and work on some other things. All right, I love you all. Thank you for your support here on Patreon and channel members on YouTube. You guys get this in the community feed if you were actually joined to the channel. Not subscribe, but joined to the channel. They're doing some weird shit on YouTube. Now they got stories on YouTube now. Everybody's stealing everybody else's features, but YouTube is where I want to come back to. YouTube is where you're watching this video, even though it's unlisted, so only you can watch it if you're on Patreon. And also, I want to thank you guys for not sharing these Patreon videos. I haven't noticed anybody sharing these videos anywhere, which I really do appreciate, because these are designed just for you guys and not for the trolls. And this is a place where it's a safe zone. It's where I can discuss, you know, my deepest, like, inner soul, if you want to call it a soul, my deeper inner thoughts with you guys, stuff that I wouldn't do on the main channel, because the main channel is about, you know, making people happy, make them laugh, educating, and you know, that kind of stuff. Whereas the patrons like you guys, the videos are of a more personal nature, and me kind of sharing my life and the state of my life and what's going on with me, and very, very personal stuff. And I really like having that division, and I couldn't have it without you guys, so thank you so much for that. And I will see you guys soon, hopefully in a public video on the main channel, because we are long overdue.